Loss by Leanne Little. Copyright 2010. It was a student. Something happened. No one is really sure what, and she died. Now she wanders the halls of Wentworth Hall looking for something. Every time someone comes across her and asks what she's lost, she freaks out and scares the poor person into leaving. No one has ever gotten an answer. As was customary at the ancient college, the first weekend at school entailed numerous ghost stories of students and teachers who have died on campus. Bonnie was listening with bated breath. She loved spooky stories. She always had. Unlike others, though, she wasn't frightened of the thought of ghosts. She felt sorry for them. Her adopted parents had always wondered why, but there wasn't really an answer. She just wasn't. Ewan, a third-year student, was just finishing up the third story of the night, and for the first time Bonnie had chills. Ghosts were bad enough, but to not know why one was still hanging around, why it refused to help, was sad. "Now time for the good part," he exclaimed. "One of you has to go into Wentworth Hall and find her." "No way," said Penny. "It's just so that one of you guys can jump out at us and scare us to death." There were murmurs of agreement from the freshmen, but Bonnie raised her hand. "I'll do it." They all stared at her, amazed that Bonnie, already known as the quiet one, would volunteer for it. Jackets were gathered, shoes put on, and they all tromped across campus to Wentworth Hall. This building now housed classrooms, but up until 20 years ago, it had been a dormitory. As for the ghost stories about it, the appearance of the building was enough to frighten anyone, ghosts or not. It was ancient, probably the first building of the college. It was dark, gothic, and vaguely creepy, even in the daylight. The rest of the group hung back while Ewan walked her to the steps. He was pale and jumpy. He stopped her just before the steps. "Look, I did it my first year too. It's scary as hell in there at night. You really don't have to do this. I was going to let it go if no one volunteered." Bonnie smiled bravely. "No, I said I'd do it, and I will. It can't be that bad." Ewan wished her good luck, watching her enter the building with fear in his eyes along with the others. She smiled reassuringly and pulled the door open. Once she was clear of it, the door slammed itself closed. Bonnie jumped, but did not panic. Just the wind, she thought. Ewan had told her rumor had it that the ghost usually stayed on the second floor. As she climbed the stairs, they started to shake, forcing her to grab on tight to the handrail and pray that she didn't slip and fall. At the top, the stairs were still once again. She looked behind her, wondering if she should turn back, decided to continue, and tiptoed silently down the hallway. A figure appeared 3 doors away, a young woman with long, knotted hair wearing a faded green nightgown. She was kneeling on the ground, sobbing. Bonnie gathered up all of her courage and went to her. "Are you all right?" The woman did not look up, but mumbled, "Please, I've lost it." The story was right. She did lose something, Bonnie thought before speaking again to the woman. "What did you lose? I can help you find it." It came without warning. Gale force winds, flashes like lightning, and the ghost was suddenly up on her feet, screaming wordlessly at Bonnie with her hands cradling her face. The more she screamed, the harder the wind blew and the brighter the light. Bonnie put her back up against the wall, and with her heart thumping in her chest, refused to run. She couldn't take her eyes off of the woman, right up until the point when the woman came and was screaming right in her face, just inches away. The woman finally took her hands away from her face, looked at Bonnie straight in the face, and her screams cut off, echoing slowly through the building. Likewise, Bonnie couldn't manage to make a squeak. Not because the ghost had been throwing a fit right in her face, but because Suddenly, it was almost like looking at herself in a mirror. The woman had the same red hair, slightly pointed nose, and full mouth. The woman was amazed. She raised her hand slowly to Bonnie's cheek. It passed right through it, but the woman didn't care. She drank in every detail of Bonnie's face, just as Bonnie was drinking in hers. "I've been looking for so long," the woman whispered. "I lost you. I gave birth to you, then they took you away. They left me to die without you. I'm here now. I'm fine, happy. You don't have to stay." Tears, glistening like silver, ran freely down the woman's face. "My sweet little girl." Bonnie had expected her to fade away happily, but that was not the case. The woman still passed on, but in the brightest flash of light and the loudest bang of the evening, causing a few windows to break and the alarms to go off. Bonnie turned and fled the building, hoping to miss the security guards. She met up with the group and they all hurried back to their dormitory. The rest of them kept asking her what happened, but she never told them. Not a soul. She wanted to keep the meeting to herself. It was the only thing she would ever share with her biological mother, and she cherished it. For the rest of her time at the college, she was the only student in 18 years that would slowly stroll past the building in the dead of the night with a smile on her face.